class. And we're recording, guys, just to let you know. So how's everybody's week going? You staying cool? My phone's right again. Okay, so let's get started. It's weird for me. I'd like to kind of, you got James O'Neill waiting. I want to talk to you about the coaching program and what we're planning to do differently. And Mark and I had a meeting yesterday, and we decided that you guys are getting frustrated, especially the newer agents, and that you're not getting exactly what you need from us. And part of it's because we're in another flux again. We're going from now being fully remote to trying to get back to some live stuff. And yet some people still need to be remote. So it's really difficult to try to figure it all out. And I hope we do a good job today, because that'll be the start of what we'll try to accomplish going forward. And if this works out, this will be the way we'll do Coaching Corner from now on. So let me know, give me feedback, give me real feedback, because we really want to change this program to meet your needs. And along those lines, how many of you got somebody else, how many of you have started or finished taking the online KWME Ignite class? Anybody?
I started. We got all 6 sessions.
Okay, so we've got 3 or 4 of you anyway. Can somebody tell me what they're thinking about that class, and be completely honest? I want to hear your feedback.
For me, it's very long and drawn out. Could be a little more concise. That's what I'm getting right now.
Okay. Anybody else?
I felt it was very, very sales focused. Coming into a new field, specifically for me, I came from the tech field. I felt I needed a little bit more on the transaction end, the actual how to transact business and real estate. And I was kind of getting a lot of scripting, a lot of how to make a sale, a lot of how to lead generate, which is an enormous part of the business. But what do I do when I get the business? And I felt like that was a big chunk of what I was missing, at least at the start of the program, which I'm really at the start of it, so a lot to go, but that was kind of my initial reaction to the program.
Okay, well, that's fair enough. Does anybody else have anything they want to add? Okay, so we agree. It's kind of cumbersome. There's a lot of people on that class. Even when it's live, sometimes there's up to 100 people in that class. You can't get enough attention, number one. And I think it's too broad, number two. And frankly, the class lasts for too long. Does anybody else feel like that?
Yes.
In my mind, if I'm trying to teach you something and we go more than 2 hours, I've lost you. And you can't retain it. And maybe 2 hours is going to be even too long, but there are some things I'm not sure I can teach you in less time. But the things that I'm going to teach you in a 2-hour segment, we're also going to have a lot of hands-on. So from here on out, when we start this new course curriculum, which I'll tell you about in a second, bring your laptops with you, because you're going to do some hands-on stuff. So let me talk to you about what we're planning. Right now, we're going to plan to take the Ignite course, which is 20 sessions long, and break it down to 8 2-hour sessions. And we're going to do it live and also on Zoom like this, if that works. And so hopefully this is going to be a good thing here, and I hope you get enough out of it here so that those of you that can't make it into the office can watch it or be part of it. And we're also planning in August we're gonna start this in August. And we're going to have some nighttime classes too. So Mark's gonna teach those. So between Mark and I, we're gonna teach you everything that you're gonna learn in Ignite, except we're gonna take less time to do it, and it's gonna be more concise and more hands-on. So does that sound like a good plan to you guys?
Yeah.
I
Thinking?
think so.
Okay, good, awesome. So that's great. So, I do want to go through a couple of things with you before we get started. And I don't know if I can get the camera over to the board. I probably can't. So I'm just going to talk about what I've got. So our classes in August, they're probably going to be, and I love it. You could almost do a poll on that. What days of the week would be better? What times of the day would be better? So we'll take that into consideration when we plan it out. But I'm probably going to do 2 2-hour classes a week. And then Mark will do the nighttime ones. So he'll do 2 2-hour classes of the same class. So you can either come in the daytime or the evening. We'll also record it. So you guys who can't be there for either one of them can go back or can rewatch it if you want to. So that'll be hopefully helpful too. I'm hearing through the grapevine that you guys are feeling a little bit, I don't know what the word is, but you're not getting exactly what you need out of the program. I want you to get what you need out of this program. I want you to succeed at the highest level that you want to, and I want you to meet your goals. And so honestly, if you give me feedback and you tell me what you need from me, we're going to try to give it to you. So don't be afraid, because I have no ego. So the first thing that I want to talk about today before we get started with our coaching stuff is the compliance checklist. Do you guys all have a copy of that? Awesome. So what I'm going to do also is all the stuff that I put in the files section, not all of it, but some of the stuff that I put in the files section of that coaching page, I'm going to make a little booklet for you all. So watch for that in the next week or so. And I'll put it in your mailbox and I'll let you know when I've done that. We're also trying to reach out to you in person. We'll leave you a voicemail if you don't answer, but we're looking to get in front of you every single week if we can. Or if you request a different timeline, like some people have said, you know, I'm not doing that much right now. Could you just call me once a month, every other week, whatever it is, that's fine. But we don't want to touch bases with you and talk to you less than once a month, because we don't want you to slip through the cracks, and we don't want you to feel like we're not thinking of you and trying to work with you. So be aware that this is for you, not for us. So I hope that you are okay with that. So compliance checklist. If you look at the compliance checklist, the buyer's documents that you have to fill out when you're working with a buyer, I'm listing them. They're on the board now. I don't know if you guys can see that or not. But when you're going to make an appointment, so you get a buyer to call you. What happens after the buyer calls you? They want to see a house. Does anybody want to jump in?
I usually ask what's their financing type, whether it be cash or if they've been pre-approved.
Okay. Anything else?
First personal meeting, I give them that agency disclosure.
Yay. Okay. So let me tell you what I do. When I know that I'm going to be talking to a buyer, or if a buyer calls me, I'll tell them, hang on one second, I'll be right with you. And I will pull out one of my handy dandy buyer lead sheets or seller lead sheets, depending on the case. But right now we're talking about buyers. So in the coaching page under the files section, you'll find buyer and seller lead sheets. Feel free to snag those adapt them to whatever your needs are. I like to write my questions down so I don't forget to ask them. I want to know those things about, I want to pre-qualify my buyers. And even if I know them, I need to know what they're looking for, what they're pre-qualified for, you know, all of that stuff. So take out a buyer lead sheet and start having a conversation with them. They're going to jump right in and say, I want to go see this house. If you can schedule a buyer consultation with them and get them to come into the office or meet you someplace or go to their house, if you know them and you know them well, that's fine. But remember, safety first, always. You should have a buyer presentation completed. And that's one of the things we're going to teach you in August, if you haven't done it on your own. We're going to teach you how to create your own buyer consultation. And you're going to sit down with the buyer and talk to them about what's involved in the buying process and what you're going to do for them and what they can do for you. And so we'll go through that in August, but for right now, I'm just going to give you that quick overview. Then you're going to have them sign the buyer documents. Does anybody want to tell me what the buyer documents are?
Usually for me, if you haven't done the agency disclosure form, that's definitely like the first and foremost. Wire fraud advisory, financial privacy. Sometimes you can provide them with that exclusive right to represent buyer's contract. The home inspection sheet, which is super confusing for me in the beginning because you have to have them sign, well, initial each page and date where there's no space. So in the white spots to the bottom. So that's 1, 2, 3. I'm missing something. Wait. Escrow, financial, agency disclosure, inspections. What was it?
Lead paint?
That's if
No.
anything 78, and that's usually with binding an offer, but that was so good because some people have them with, like if they were putting in an offer possibly. So that wasn't bad, but yay. Am I missing something, Judy, or is that?
So you said mandatory agency disclosure and you said the facts for consumers.
Yes.
And the escrow wire policy procedure for our office. And then depending on the buyer agency agreement, if you're going to have them sign an exclusive buyer agency agreement, that's an optional form.
Yeah.
For me, I always recommend that you get them to sign that. And basically what that says is, I'm yours and you're mine. And I know that when I buy a house, I'm going to be working with you. That, once you explain that form to them, most people understand that you're committed to each other. And some people will break that commitment. And by the way, I never recommend that you try to take them to court or force them to pay you a commission or whatever. But it's kind of like, you know, when we get married, we can get divorced, but that marriage certificate kind of tells us what we expect from each other, right? And so that exclusive buyer agency agreement basically tells them what we expect of each other, what they can expect from me, what I can expect from them. And so hopefully we honor that. And we know that some people aren't honorable and they're not going to honor it, but for the most part, I find that if people sign that and they understand it, then they do remain honorable. And I tell them things like, hey, you know, I'd love to have you go to open houses. Don't worry about that. If you see an open house and you want to drop in, that's great. Here's a bunch of my cards. Make sure you give my card to the agent that's on duty at the open house, just so they know that you're working with me. And never ever sign anything that another agent asks you to sign. And don't do an offer because you want to be represented and I'm going to do that for you. And I want to make sure I take care of you. So please make sure that you call me immediately and we'll get your offer in, no problem. So we have that kind of conversation, and that's what the buyer's consultation is for, frankly, and also to get all these buyer documents signed. And so the last document, if you get the exclusive buyer agreement signed, then the last document will be the financial privacy disclosure. If you don't get the exclusive buyer agreement signed, can you still work with them? Yeah, yeah, you can, absolutely. But that means that they're not committed to you. They can dump you anytime they want to. They didn't put a ring on your finger. Which is okay, you can date, and you don't have to be exclusive. But that's how I like to, describe it, so that it's kind of the same thing. We're dating, but we're not exclusive. So if they go out and they see a house and the agent that happens to be on duty says you want to write an offer and they write it, you're out of luck. If you don't have them sign that exclusive buyer agreement, then they'll sign the KWNC buyer disclosure form. So I just want to go over those 5, 6 forms real quick with you. And Eric's going to be my muse and pull them up, and let's talk about those. You have them, Eric? If you click on screen 1, maybe you should be okay. Click on where it says screen 1.
Where'd you say screen
Way
one?
up there on the left, right? Yeah, click on
Well,
that.
that's the whole screen. So
Yeah, click on it though. Did you close it? Did you close the DocuSign?
I didn't.
No, there it is. There you go. Okay. All right. So let's go through those forms. And I think we'll pull up the Massachusetts Mandatory Real Estate Licensee Consumer Relationship Disclosure, what a mouthful, which is the MAR, Massachusetts Association of Realtors 705 form. And we lovingly call it the mandatory agency disclosure because it's, we like to shorten things. And I'm going to step closer so that I can you make it so that they can see the whole document, Eric, by any chance?
I probably can, but
If you can't, that's okay. Why don't we, so let's talk about this document, guys. This is not a contract. It says it right there at the top. Make sure your clients know. If they think they're signing a contract with you, they're liable to give you some pushback. But if you say to them, hey guys, and you don't have to do this the minute you meet them, by the way. If you're going to have a whole buyer consultation with them, you can do it at the end if you want to. Or you can do it anytime during the meeting. When you're going over the other documents with them, you can do this. It doesn't matter, as long as it's at the first face-to-face meeting with a potential client. And what I usually say is, hey guys, I have a document that the Commonwealth of Massachusetts requires I present to you. It's not a contract. It just tells you what our relationship is today and going forward, unless I have you sign another one. So then I'll scroll down, and I want to show you that we have 2 choices. We're meeting with a buyer. We can either be a facilitator, which means I have to say to the buyer, hey guys, today I'm going to be your facilitator. That means you shouldn't tell me anything personal or confidential. We're just having a conversation here, and I'm mandated by the state of Massachusetts to present this form to you, but I'm not committed to you, you're not committed to me. We're just having a conversation. So don't tell me any secrets. Or this is what I like to do. I usually will say, oh, and by the way, if I check off facilitator, I'm not going to check off designated agency or buyer. Will it let you? It doesn't seem to want to let him undo it right now, but that's weird. And that's okay. You guys can do that. And so those 2 spots are going to be left blank in that case. What I like to do is say, hey guys, I want to really be able to have a good conversation with you today, and I want you to feel comfortable telling me exactly what your situation is. And so I'm willing to put myself on the line and react as though I'm your buyer's agent already, even though you haven't hired me to do anything. And so what that means is even if you decide not to work with me after today, anything you tell me today stays confidential. I'm your buyer's agent today while we're having this conversation. You're not bound to me in any way, though. I'm the one that's bound. And so if they sign, if they say, yep, that's great, then I'm going to click on buyer's agent, designated agency, and buyer. So what that means is we're never, ever going to use the left side over here. We're always going to use the right side. This office is always a designated agency. And we're either a seller agent or a buyer agent, unless we're a facilitator. So then I'm going to go down to the next section. And I'm going to print my name and my license number. And then I'm going to put salesperson in there. Three, 6, 6, 7, 9. Salesperson, and then I like to add the date. And I like to do that electronically, but you can do it, if you're taking your documents with you to your buyer consultation, you can fill that out by hand. We call it wet signing. Excuse me?
How do I have the date?
You won't be able to add the date in here. You'll have to put all of your documents into an envelope. And then you can add your dates and your signatures. In here, you're only allowed to do the fill in the blanks. So then below that, I'm going to put the name of the brokerage, which is Keller Williams Realty NC, because that's all that fits in that block. And then I'm going to put their license number, which is 7740. Okay. And then below that goes the printed name of your consumer. And you notice how it says consumer and not client, right? That's because they're not your client at this point anyway. And so if you were doing this electronically, you'd put it into an envelope and you'd assign, you'd add recipients. You're going to have to add your recipient, your buyers twice, and yourself twice, because in one place you're a licensee, in another place you're a buyer's broker. In one place, your client to be is a consumer, in the other place, they're your buyer. So you're going to notice that when you go to assign the signature spaces. But for right now, I just want you to see what you'll fill in. Say you were going to print these off when you're done with them and bring them with you. That's what I like to do if I'm having a face-to-face consultation. I'll bring all the documents with me, and I'll bring them a copy as well. Just make sure you sign both copies, but they don't have to. They can just take their copy without signing it. So Joe Buyer, and make sure you put the date, especially if you're wet signing. Does everybody know what wet signing is? Yep, by pen. Yep. So then I've done this document here. I can go up to other actions. Okay, I have to close this. I have to save and close this. Sorry guys. And then when I'm all done my documents, I can click next to them, pretend I've done the rest of them. I can put a check mark next to it. And I can print it out. I can go to actions now and I should be able to print it. Not there though. Where? Go to that first thing right next to active documents. Move. There should be a print. And I can't remember exactly where it is now. But we'll find it anyway. So that's the first document. And that's the hardest document we have here. So let's go to facts for consumers, because there is something I want to show you about that. And you won't be doing it in this section. You're going to move it into the envelope, or you're going to just print it out and take it with you one way or the other. Can you open Facts for Consumers? Thanks, Eric. Okay, on Facts for Consumers, basically this just tells your buyer about your home inspections. And it talks about what an inspection entails, the timing of a home inspection, how to select a home inspector, and there are 3 pages. And we want them to initial each page. So if you're bringing it with you and you're having it wet signed, make sure they initial each page. And if you're not bringing it with you and you're sending it to them to electronically sign, then make sure you add initials onto these 3 pages, because otherwise it'll just come back as a blank document.
If we print it to have them sign it, we should scan it in to the system afterwards.
Yep, after you get done with your consultation, you're gonna come back to the office, scan them in, and then put them in command. Okay? All right, so that's all I have on this particular form. Can we go now to the escrow wire policy? I think it's the top one. Eric, did you click on that little paper before, up at the top, above other actions? That's where print is. I knew I'd remember. Sorry about that, guys. So when you want to print these documents, all you have to do is click on the print button. It's a little paper up on the top toolbar. Okay, so this escrow wire policy, you won't be doing anything to it in the form section or the room. You'll wait until you send it to the envelope and add their signatures. Or you can print this and just have them sign it. And basically what it says is we're never going to ask them to send a wire, especially not by email. And so always check voice to voice with us before they send any wire any place, and we'll make sure that it's a legit thing to do. Okay? So go ahead and close out of there. So if you make changes to something, you want to save and close it. If you don't make changes, you can just X out of it. Can you bring back the rest of those documents? Awesome. Okay, so next we're going to do the KWNC buyer disclosure. Do you see that in there? It's not in there. Oh, there. No, it's not in there. That's weird. Not that one. The KWNC. I might not have put it. Can you scroll down a little bit? I don't see it. Can you go to add? Because I want to show them how to add a document. Okay, go to DocuSign Forms and go to Buyer Client Consultations, and then type in KWNC Buyer Disclosure. There you go. And can you add that? Awesome. Okay, now can you open it? Should be at the bottom, I think. No? Oh, there it is, right there. 737. So this form is the form you use if you don't get the exclusive agreement signed, the exclusive buyer agreement signed. And the reason why you're going to get this document signed is because in that exclusive buyer agreement, it has 2 out of 3 of these paragraphs. The first paragraph is giving you permission to be their designated agent. What does that mean? Does anybody want to jump in and tell me what that means?
You're the only agent that they're working with.
No, well, it sort of does, but it means that you're working with them and another agent in our office is working with the seller. So You're the designated buyer's agent. And you want them to sign each section. And some people skip this second one where it says, can you go down to that one? Consent to dual agency. What does dual agent mean?
You're doing both.
You're doing both. And I'm representing both, which means I'm really representing no one. I don't like to ever do that if I don't have to, and we can talk about that another time. But you always want to have them sign this because there is a time when you might become a dual agent. And that is, I'm working with Eric. He's my buyer. Eric and I are happily looking at houses, and all of a sudden he says, Judy, I just went by 1-2 Main Street and your sign is on it. Are you the listing agent? Yep. Could you show me that property? I think I'm really interested in it. Now I become a dual agent. Now, if I'm working with a seller and I'm doing an open house and Eric comes in and he says, hey, I want to make an offer on this property. Can you write it for me? Absolutely. Am I a dual agent? Anybody?
Not automatic.
No, not automatically. And by the way, if I have a choice, I'm never going to pick dual agency. So what I'm going to tell Eric is, I'm happy to write that offer for you. Just understand I represent the seller. So I can't do a market analysis for you or advise you on pricing at all. But I'm happy to write the offer for you. Let's sit down and do that. So it could happen, and it could happen to anybody. So you really need to fill out all 3 sections. Now let's just go down to the 3rd section. Can you admit, Sarah?
She was already here.
Yeah, she must have popped off. So go down to the 3rd section, Eric, please. And that's a financial privacy consent form. That is not in the KWNC, in the exclusive buyer agreement. So we need to have that signed regardless of whether we have that exclusive signed or not. So in the case where we have the exclusive buyer agency agreement signed, we're going to go and find that financial privacy form instead. And we're not going to use this form because we've already had it signed. So what happens if you get there and you forgot and you printed this one instead of the other one? Just get them to sign it. Don't worry about it. They aren't even going to know the difference. And you should be explaining everything to them. And you can even say, oops, I printed the wrong form if you want to. And let me just cross these out because you already agreed that I could do that. So whatever you need to do is fine, but under most circumstances, have them sign all 3 sections. Okay, Eric, if you want to close that. Then I'm just going to show them that financial privacy form. Right up there. There you go. So see, and the last thing I'm going to show you is that exclusive buyer agency agreement, but I wanted to make sure you saw these 2 forms first. So now I'm going to have my exclusive buyer agency form signed, and this is the only form I need them to sign. It's just the financial privacy statement. Is everybody getting this? Does anybody have any questions? You guys on Zoom are welcome to pop in too. All right, so we can close this one out. And then we'll go to that exclusive buyer agreement. So you notice that some things are in blue. Those are the forms, and you can change those. Once I've made a PDF of it, I can't change it. And once it's signed, I can't change it. I have to go back to the form and start over again. And I can change this now anytime I want to without worrying about it. So let's talk about how to fill this form out because people have questions about that. So you're always going to put your name first and Keller Williams Realty North Central, where the broker goes. And your exclusive buyer agency. This is where you're getting engaged to each other. This is where you're making promises to each other. And they're promising that they're going to use you exclusively to find a home to purchase. They're not going to use any other agent. And they're gonna do it as in number 2 for a certain period of time. I like to have it for 6 months. Any longer than that, I'm probably sick of it. But honestly, in some markets, that's crazy, like this market, it's not crazy, because it could actually take you 6 months to get them an accepted offer on something. But in other markets, 6 months is long. So I like to put 6 months here. And then my broker services, it tells them all the things that I'm gonna do for them. Read this form so that you can tell them why they want to hire you, because this is what I'm gonna do for you. Okay? I'm not gonna read it to you though, because I don't wanna take all day. But scroll down some more, Eric, if you would. And we're gonna go, it tells them what the buyers have to do, are agreeing to here as well in number 4. And then the broker's compensation. I always put $1 for retainer, because without legal tender, do we have a valid contract? Okay, honest, we don't. So I put $1, and I don't really care whether you say shall or shall not be credited. Nobody ever collects the $1. And by the way, you're never going to take this to court. So truly, it's not something you need to truly worry about. It's just setting the stage. It's like the promissory agreement. I promise to be loyal to you if you promise to be loyal to me. The success fee. Now you want to put something in there, and I usually put 2%, but you can put anything you want. And we don't price fix here, but I am your mentor. So I will tell you what I do, and you can put whatever you want there. And I usually put within 180 days in the next place. It says basically that if I find them something, they're going to pay me 2%. And if they go back and buy something that I showed them within 180 days after this agreement expires, then they still owe me that 2% if I showed it to them first. Okay, let's go to the next page. So do you remember this? Number 6, look what it has there. It's consent to designated agency. Remember that form? That's why you don't need that form twice. That's why we don't need the KWNC buyer disclosure form, because they're already giving us consent right here. And in number 7, they're giving us consent for dual agency. So we only need the financial privacy form if they sign this. So let's keep going. And I can put other provisions in here. Sometimes I say either party can cancel this agreement with in writing with 24 hours notice anytime prior to an accepted offer. Sometimes I say this agent will accept cooperating MLS compensation as full compensation, so that they know they don't have to pay me that 2% if somebody else, if it's coming from MLS and the listing agent is willing to pay a cooperation fee. So sometimes I add those things in there. Sometimes they want something special and I'll add that too, but usually that's about it. So once you have all these documents, if you can save and close, Eric. You're going to go back and select all the documents that you want to print or put to an envelope. And then we can either send it to an envelope by, up there on the toolbar, there's a little pen. Do you see that pen? We can either create an envelope and send them electronically, or we can go to the little piece of paper, I think. Nope, that's a copy. So we had to do that one by one. We had to print them one by one, but we can now send them into an envelope. That's all I'm gonna do today because I've taken up a lot of time and I wanna make sure everybody has time to ask questions or say things that they need to. So is everybody good with that? And how are you feeling about that? Comfortable? A little more comfortable?
Yeah. You
Okay.
also have the forms already filled out in the coaching corner.
In the coaching Facebook page, in the files section, there's the compliance checklist is in there. And there's also sample forms in there. I don't know if I put the buyer forms in there. Did I?
think you did, yeah.
Okay, well, that's good. And like I said, I'm gonna make you guys all a book. You can go back to the screen if you want, where everybody's there. So I hope that helped everybody. And next week, I'm gonna talk about the purchase documents and we'll go through all those if you guys want to, and we'll make sure you're comfortable with those. So now I will turn the class over to you guys. And somebody tell me something good. Tell me if you don't have anything to talk about, introduce yourself, please, and then just tell me what things you're looking for from the mentoring program, if you can think of anything. That either something we're doing great or something that we're not quite meeting your expectations about is great. So can I start with the live people here?
Sure.
Okay,
My name's Tim. I just got my real estate license. I've only been in the office here for about 17 days. And my biggest challenge has been trying to find the forms. They seem to be everywhere. The videos for Ignite aren't the easiest to find either, and keep them in check. What I do like is that when I do come in here, I can ask questions and everybody's pretty friendly about making sure that they give you the proper information that you need. So I'm pumped to be here, but there's just a few little hurdles and I think we're gonna get it. And it's just a matter of time for me.
awesome. So do you think that this class will help you find those things
I do, yeah.
better?
Yeah.
Okay, great. Anybody else?
Judy, it's Tracy Galoni.
Hi, Tracy.
Hi there. I couldn't hear Tim. Can you just repeat
Oh,
give an overview real quick?
sure. So Tim said he was having trouble finding the forms, right, Tim?
Yes.
And he's a little frustrated with the Ignite Online class. So I hope in August, we're gonna solve that for him too. And what else did you say? That you like coming into the office because everybody's helpful and friendly?
Yeah, when I come in, it's everybody's here to help. They're not kind of pushing you away, which is kind of nice.
Yep, and I'm here now, just to reiterate, 3 days a week, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, I'm back in the office. And it's better if you ask for an appointment, but if you drop in and ask to speak with me, I'll clear away what I'm doing if I possibly can and give you the time you need. So don't be afraid to drop in or call and make an appointment and come in. We're always happy to see you here. And if you're still uncomfortable about being out and about, I'm happy to do it on Zoom as well. So whatever you need, we're here for you. Anybody else want to talk about? Mike, do you have anything?
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah? Mike,
Okay,
good
great.
then.
Yeah, so I've only been here a couple of weeks, similar to Tim. Really like being in the office. Everyone's been extremely kind to me, kind with their time, which has been great. Keller Williams has been a great, atmosphere to be in. As far as challenges, it's been hard, only a couple of weeks in, but to get my head around the process, the sheer amount of paperwork that goes in to closing a real estate transaction. So getting comfortable with that. And I think classes like this will go a long way to me, kind of having that comfort to approach a client and have comfort with them, knowing that they have the right professional in front of them to close that transaction properly for them. So looking forward to a lot more stuff like this, and within the next few months, hopefully be a solid real estate agent out in the field.
Awesome, that's great. And by the way, when we do the classes in August, instead of me just talking and telling you how to fill things out, I'm gonna have you guys have your laptops here, and you're gonna make a sample opportunity, and you're gonna make a room in DocuSign, and you're gonna actually go in and fill out these documents. You're gonna start feeling more and more comfortable with them as you practice. What I am not planning to do is a ton of role playing and a ton of script practice. You guys can get as much of that as you want online. And if you really like to do scripts, get a practice buddy. So, you know, you guys, some of you are here, others of you are on Zoom, but you're all getting comfortable with each other. So if you want to do script practicing, ask for a script partner and see if you can't get somebody to work with you and practice.
Yeah, what might be cool would be like, you know, taking a buyer and a seller from start to finish, all the paperwork. You know, they buy 123 Hazel Street in Fitchburg, you
Yeah,
know, taking the paperwork start to finish. That might be a cool activity.
and that's one of the things
Yeah.
we're gonna do in that August class. It'll take a few classes. Like part of it will be in one session, and then in the next session, we'll do, oh my gosh, I found a house I like, now let's write an offer.
Yeah, that'd be great.
So we'll do all of that.
That'd be cool.
And those classes are gonna be 2 hours long, so you'll be able to set up and do that and ask questions and hopefully start getting really comfortable with DocuSign as well.
Cool.
Jamie, do you wanna say anything?
I just had a question.
Yeah.
So the Ignite that's starting
Tomorrow.
tomorrow, is that in person
It's on Zoom,
on Zoom?
but it's live,
Okay.
so, you can take it live. And I will tell you, I've heard some people say it's too long and it's too cumbersome, and other people love it. So do what you want to do and plan on coming in August too, because we're gonna get really down to the brass tacks, and we're gonna just get very direct about the stuff you need to learn. So it'll cover a lot of the same content, but it won't be so, this is why we do this, this is, you know, why do you want to have a database? Why do you want to collect names? That kind of thing. We're just going to assume you know. We're doing contacts today. Let me show you what to do. It's going to be very pointed, honestly. Oh, there you go. There's the Ignite structure there for you guys. And there's a webpage address if you want to go and sign up for it. Once you sign up for it, you can go to the live classes on Zoom, or you can watch the recordings. They usually have them up on YouTube within a day. So you're welcome to do that, and you have to complete either this Ignite or an Ignite or our condensed version in August. Preferably both, honestly. Eric, what do you have to say today? Anything? Thank you, by the way, for helping. This was awesome.
You're welcome.
It was so nice not to have to worry about all that while I'm trying to, you know, talk with my hands.
So I'm Eric. Yeah, I'm Eric, for those of you who don't know. I was gonna unmute myself, but then I realized. So I've been an agent for almost 7 years. And I signed up for Command for the first time today, so I'm relearning all this stuff just like you are.
Yeah, Eric was one of our diehard .loop guys. He was actually certified to teach .loop, and he loved the .loop process and didn't really embrace DocuSign until now. He has to, because .loop is going by the wayside. So
Well, I'm also a teacher full time, so
right, exactly. So one more thing that I want to tell you is on the agents of KWNC, if you go to media and then album and then classes, they've got 4 classes up there. One is Brokermetrics, which is a program that you can use to do reports and stuff on agents and properties and that kind of thing. The other is buyer contracts. There's 2 of those. And then there's a rental class on video. So if anybody wants to go look at those, you're welcome to. I don't want to forget. So now I just want to go around the room on you Zoom guys and see if anybody has anything they want to talk about today or give us any feedback or input. Yes, Danya.
Hi, Judy. Can you repeat that last thing about the media? Where'd you?
Sure. Yep,
Thank you.
okay. So you're gonna go to go to Facebook. Oh, I always do that. I always say the Facebook and my kids laugh at me. Go to Facebook and go to the KWNC, no, Agents of KWNC page. And then go to Media. And then go to Album. And then Classes.
What's agents of?
Agents of KWNC. Yep,
Thank you.
you're welcome. Any of you guys have anything you want to talk about?
So I have a property that didn't appraise and I'm on the buy side. They're FHA. Do you have any suggestions? Because my client still loves the home. And at this point, if I was the seller, I would just sell because the market's like shifting already, I feel like. I also feel like Fannie Mae is just like hating everybody because they overlended for the last few months. So
Yeah, so I'll give you my input and then if anybody else wants to give you input, that's great. I usually say to my buyers, before I even let the listing agent know, there are 3 things that are going to happen now. Well, actually 4 things. A, the seller will agree to reduce the price to the appraised value. B, you can pay more of a down payment as the buyer to make up the difference. C could be a combination of either. So the buyer might give part of the money and the seller might drop the price by some to make up the difference between the appraised value and the agreed upon purchase price. Or E, we terminate this transaction and everybody walks. In that case, the buyer will get their deposit back. As long as they haven't let their anything, as long as they've followed the contract, they've not let things expire without getting extensions signed or whatever the case may be. And, you know, the seller can always try to keep the deposit. Anybody can sue anybody. And as escrow agents, we licensed agencies are not allowed to release those funds until both parties sign in agreement as to where those escrow funds will go. But rightfully, the funds should go back to the buyer at that point if the agreement's terminated. So does anybody else have anything they want to add to that? No? So Jessica, have you had a conversation with the buyer yet?
I have. And in her mind, she's like, well, I don't want to pay for something that hasn't appraised, which is a good point. But at the same time, it's like, you know, our job is to keep the deal together as much as possible because it appraised for like 30 grand under than what we offered. So I understand her point of view. As an agent, I talked to her too. I was like, you know, I'd love to see you walk away with paying 30 grand less. And it depends how much you love, but if it love the property, but it's up to you if you want me, if the seller decides not to go down that much, I can try to find comps in the area that the current appraiser hasn't used and try to justify possibly going up 10,000. So it looks like we're meeting in the middle a little bit more. So the seller's not as shell shock in the sense that you are not paying her 30,000 more than what we discussed. But the property, the list price of it, it's 10,000 over what the list price was. So in my mind, I'm a realist though, and like also opportunity cost. If you were willing to accept an offer for 33 oranges, why won't you accept an offer for 34 oranges? You're still getting 10,000 oranges more than what you wanted. Like, you know what I mean? And like, again, they see, but it lasts for them on 6 months too, like for those financing types for the seller. So it's kind of like, yeah, you want to hold those carrying costs, fine by me, but at the same time, it's like, basically the realtor's fees are all paid for. You're still walking away with more than what you were gonna get to begin with, more than what you paid 2 years ago. It just didn't appraise.
Right. So here's my opinion on the second thing that you said about trying to get the appraisal adjusted. And that's very difficult and very rare. So just so you guys know, it's not gonna really, in most cases, happen. I'm kind of a realist too, so I'm gonna let you know that right up front. Even if you find the perfect comps, chances are that that appraisal is not gonna change.
Right.
It's gonna be a matter of one of those other combinations. And if the buyer has money hidden away or can, get a gift from their parents or anything like that for part of the money, it takes the sting away a little bit from the seller. So say the buyer said, I'll pay $10,000 over the appraised value, but I don't have any more. Your seller's more likely to be understanding that you at least tried to help out with the situation. And the other thing is, once that property closes, now it's a comp. Now it's worth the price of whatever they paid. So it's not like they're gonna overpay for the property. Because now they've created a new trend in the market. You guys get that? Did I lose you?
Oh, I'm listening. Sorry. Yeah. So it's like, for instance, if they were to go up 10,000, it wasn't like they lost 10,000. Like it's not worth it because now they're generating a kind of a new comp for the next person to keep the market value up at that price.
And quite frankly, they're building a new comp for themselves too. Because when they go to sell it, their purchase price was X. Nobody's gonna say, well, what did it appraise for though? It's, no, that house, we paid 200,000 for it. Well, yeah, but it only appraised for 190. Nope, that's not gonna be a thing anymore. As soon as it closes, that's not a thing anymore.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Okay, who else has something?
Judy, it's Tracy Galoni.
Hi, Tracy.
Hi there. So I joined Keller Williams in May. And just to kind of, so thank you to start off. Thanks for the training today. It was super helpful.
Oh, good.
Yeah, very, very helpful. And I think that I was a little bit late for the meeting. So I think you said there's going to be more training in August and specifically related to the compliance list, which is absolutely something that's needed. Just to kind of echo what Tim and the others said in the room. I think the people at Keller Williams are great. It's a very welcoming, warm environment, and I really appreciate that. And everybody is willing to help. Having coming into this as completely new, it's definitely been a struggle. There's a lot of information, and I've struggled to find it too. It's in multiple locations, so.
I agree.
To have it organized, it's great. It's all great information that we can all utilize. It would be helpful to be able to maybe put it in folders based on the compliance checklist or all in one place, because I struggle to find it. And then I get frustrated and eventually I just give up. So it's overwhelming.
I agree.
So
Can
how?
I give you a little bit of advice before you go on? Because I don't want to.
Yeah, sure. Yeah,
When you've tried and you can't figure something out, call me, text me, send me an email, whatever you need. If I can't answer you right away, I'm happy to set an appointment to meet with you, talk to you, Zoom with you, whatever, and show you stuff. I can pretty much show you lots of stuff, maybe not everything that you're going to be looking for.
great. Yeah, that would be really, really helpful. And, again, doing the compliance checklist and going actually going through it and experiencing all the talking points with these forms would be really, really great. And I think would definitely at least set myself up for success and definitely feel more confident in what I'm doing. So
Awesome. I think that helps me feel like we're on the right track.
definitely.
Okay, so August it is then.
Thank you.
Yeah, sure. Who else wants to speak? Love to hear from you guys.
I guess hi. It's not a question, but just to let you know that my offer, my most recent offer that I was talking to you about earlier, was not accepted. They picked somebody else.
Oh, I'm sorry about that.
All right.
Next time.
It's still, I am thankful for almost every offer that I get a chance to write, because it's always a learning experience. It gets easier every time.
It does, right? Yeah. And so with the practice classes too, I think you'll all start to feel like, oh, this isn't so hard. And it's not really as difficult as it feels like it's going to be. So I'm looking forward to being part of that with you guys. Who else wants to chat? Nobody? I'm gonna pick on somebody.
I can go.
Hi, Mike.
Hi, how's it going?
Good, how are you?
Good. I like the idea of the August classes personally, because Ignite, I felt like you said, is really long. And especially like, I think it's like the first 10 classes, like 2 hours of it is them just telling you to make phone calls.
Yeah, we're not gonna do that.
Yeah. Like their answer to everything is, oh, make phone calls or call FSBOs, or you know what I mean? It's all generic stuff. I feel like being in the class with you guys and actually learning things that we need to do, and then the process of doing like the offers and the paperwork and stuff will be more beneficial.
Oh, good. I'm glad you feel that way. And that doesn't mean that all of those other things aren't important.
Oh,
but
no, they definitely are.
I need to hold your hand for that. You're either gonna do it or you're not. Like, I know James is out there making phone calls and walking around neighborhoods and doing all kinds of stuff. I know that for a fact, and I know I don't have to hold his hand and watch him do it. So you're either gonna do it or you're not gonna do it. And I don't see why we need to waste time in class.
Yeah.
Making you do it.
Yeah, I feel like the actual classes like you were talking about will be very helpful, actually.
Good. Awesome. I'm glad to hear you guys think we're on the right track.
Yeah.
Anybody else? James, are you going to tell me you have nothing to say today?
Oh, I'm not going to tell you that. No. I'm not going to tell you that. I'm intrigued by your August classes. I would love to do. I would love to do that. I took Ignite a while ago, and I have to agree. It was I missed some of it. I'd watched the recording, but I think from what you say, your class in August is going to be a lot different. So, yeah, I would definitely look forward to that for sure. But yeah, no, I don't have anything else this week. No.
Okay. You guys think you're gonna want to do that live here, or a combination of live and Zoom, or will you still do all Zoom with that class?
How many days a week? Will it be Monday through Friday, or?
No, I think I'm gonna do it 2 days a week for 2 hours each time.
I'd like to do it in person.
I'd plan on doing it in person.
Good.
Same.
Great, that's awesome. And of course, I'm not judging whether you can be here or not. I certainly understand if you can't, but I like the energy of a classroom too. So even a combination will be great. So I appreciate that. All right, does anybody else have anything they want to chat about today? Nope. All right, I'm gonna let you go. How was last week? Did you guys go to Mark jumped in and did coaching corner, I heard?
Yeah, a little DocuSign stuff.
Yeah, okay. How was it last week? Did you all come or?
I was
don't
at
know.
a showing last.
I wasn't able to make it. It was
I think
kind of
it
last
was.
second.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
There's only a few of you. I'm sorry I abandoned you for vacation and thank you for letting me do that. I had a great time and I'm really happy and stoked to be back because, you know, while I was gone, it gave me a time to reevaluate the program. And I've known for a while that we needed to make some changes to it. So I got re-energized. And so I think it'll be a good thing for us all. And I appreciate you guys coming back to me this week. I always worry when I take a week off that nobody's gonna come the next week. And so I appreciate all of you coming. And I can't wait to see you again next week. And call me in the meantime if you have any questions or you need to chat with me about anything. And by the way, if Sharon or Kathy hasn't called you yet, they probably will. And we're just checking in. We're just trying to be more proactive with how can we help you and what do you need and what do you have going on? Okay? So thank you guys. Appreciate it. Have a great night.
Thank you.
All
Thank
right.
you.
Okay. All right.